Hey, 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 welcome to a live, or rather a recap episode of Star Trek Cinemacolor, baby. We are here, Butch, Rob, to talk about our recent trip to our very first Star Trek convention, Star Trek Las Vegas 60. So let's talk to the man himself, since we'll have somebody to talk to that way. Lord Rob McCullough, gloriously in his sunny backyard. What do you got to say today?
Oh, I'm overjoyed, Butch. I think you were trying to say live recap. But, yeah, I'm so happy. My work shift is over. I'm in the backyard with the kittens. I'm still basking, not only in the sun here, but of our first ever Star Trek convention. And it's a big one. And it was great. So I'm excited to talk to you about it before I forget it all.
Yeah, we should remind viewers that while this is our first Star Trek convention, we have together as a duo been hardcore Star Trek fans since 1984. Ninth grade, Clary Gale Junior High, after school, 4 o'clock, Star Trek reruns, and then about every 3 months off to the Walden Books at the mall for Star Trek novels, to keep feeding our itch, to keep scratching our Jones, to keep the stuff running, as it were. And so, but that being said, we were too young to go to Star Trek conventions then. They predate us. I think the first Star Trek conventions were when we were infants.
Yeah.
But this one was, and we've talked over the years about going. I know the Star Trek Las Vegas has been a thing for a while. They mostly do the big conventions are mostly multi-genre, multi-franchise, right? They're like Comic-Cons and fan expos and stuff like that, where you do all the sci-fi, but just a pure, unadulterated Star Trek convention. Never done it. I did my first convention of any kind last year, where I went to Rose City Comic Con and then Fan Expo Portland this year. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to the 60th anniversary this year, and I'm dragging my buddy Lord Rob with me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we made plans back in February. We had actually, it was fun to kind of recap how we went about buying tickets. The tickets, we were worried were going to sell out because this is such a big anniversary, and there were a limited number. By the time we got in, there were already 2 of the 4 tiers sold out. So we got ourselves some copper tickets. We didn't do the captain's chair. We didn't do the gold. But it turns out, and they are not selling individual days. If you're going, you're buying all 5 days. A ticket that gets you in for all 5 days. So we invested, made plans to travel on the day of the convention starts on Wednesday. Him from Bellingham, Washington, us from Portland, and then travel back on Monday. So we got to be there for a partial day, and then all the rest of the glorious trip. Yeah, it was quite an investment, but hell, we've been saving up for decades for this, right, Rob? So.
Yeah, well, you and I have been, I remember most of what I remember about high school is arguing with you about Star Trek and growing up and you have kids and you're working and slaving away. There's not convention money most of the time. I mean, I never had that kind of money until the last few years. So I always would look at you'd hear about a big convention, the 40th or the 50th, and I'd be jealous and think, oh man, that sure would be great to be at that. And this year I could actually afford it. And my wife, who hates Star Trek inexplicably, I think she's just stubborn about it. She agreed, to my surprise, to come with. She didn't go to the convention, but she came to Vegas. She's not turned down trips to Vegas. And so that was real nice that we got to go. I get to hang out with my buddy Butch for the Star Trek stuff, and then your wife Karen and my wife Darlene got along great, it seemed, and we got to do some couple stuff too, and I got to see Karen, of course, at the Star Trek stuff. It was just awesome. It was really fun.
Absolutely, and so we got to take some trips off the strip on to the convention is held at the Rio Hotel, which is right off the strip. It's not too far distance wise. It's about a short walk, but it was, let's just say, temperature inhospitable for walking. The Vegas was hovered daily somewhere between 106 and 112 degrees every day we were there. I noted when we left, the day we left, it was 90 degrees when we left the hotel at 5:40. and we got to the airport at 5:55 in the morning. It was 88 degrees. So that was the first time all weekend had dropped below 90 was right as we're arriving at the airport to leave. That's 90 degrees overnight temperatures. That's warm.
Yeah, well, I mean, so here in Bellingham, it rarely gets over 75. And like you said, it's 110 there every day. And for some reason, the Paris hotel closes their pool at 5 o'clock. I don't know what the hell they're doing. That's just a disaster. But you would have thought it's 110 every day. Rob's going to die. I froze the whole trip, Butch, because we're inside so much, and they don't believe in mild air conditioning. Everything's Arctic. So I was cold the whole trip. Well, what'd you think?
I enjoyed being cold the whole trip, if I'm going to be honest.
All right.
Yeah, I know my wife was complaining it was cold and stuff like that. And again, if you're cold the whole time, you go outside for 30 seconds and you're just nice and warm again, and then about another 30 seconds you're like, it's too damn hot. So
yeah,
that was my experience at least.
Well, I would have liked to have been able to jump in the damn pool at the Paris, but every day closing at 5. That's a disgrace.
Yeah, that is too early to close a hotel during the dead heat of summer. I'm not going to lie. So, let's see. So you're off the Strip, and we're staying next door to the hotel. It's at the Rio. We're staying next door to the Gold Coast, which is a discount hotel. Still very nice. It's kind of like old times in Vegas when you would pay like less than $100 for a night for a room. I think our room for 5 nights was $600 with that's with all the Vegas fees and stuff like that. So a couple of nights, the rate they booked us at was $59 a night. So that's not shabby. But then anyway, you get to the hotel. You take your Uber from the airport, or your Lyft from the airport, or your taxi from the airport into the hotel. And now so Karen and I got there. We were hoping to get an early 7 a.m. check-in, but we didn't. By the time we got there, it was 11:30, and they let us check right in. So we checked in, changed t-shirts to our Trek in the Park t-shirts from 2013, Trouble with Troubles, and walked right over to the thing, very short line to register, and get our cards. And we looked and we have 10 minutes. Let's go get our photograph with Lieutenant Dax and Commander Worf, Terry Farrell and Michael Dorn. So we literally walked straight from there to the place where we would spend an inordinate amount of time during this trip in the photograph lines. Karen and I invested heavily in photographs, and we got our picture taken with 2 delightful stars, and that was nice. And that was the first, like I said, that was the first of probably about, if my count is right, about 9 professional photographs we had done while we were there. And then we did a bunch of selfies too. That was a big part of our trip. So and then, walk around, you go to the vendor's room. If you've never been to a convention before, the vendor's room is you're going to find all the fun stuff that you get to take home with you. Karen and I both brought home tribbles for some of our coworkers. There was a whole corner store of just nothing but tribbles, all the tribbles, big tribbles, small tribbles that move, tribbles that don't, tie-dye tribbles. I wasn't expecting the color combinations of any of them, that stuff. And so we did all that. And then by the time the evening rolls around, we decided to meet our good buddies. Actually, I don't think we met. Did we have dinner on that first night on the Wednesday when you got there? Because you guys didn't go.
Wasn't that when we went to the Comedy Cellar? Was that the first night, or was that the second night?
I think it was the first night, actually. Yeah, because of course you can't just do Star Trek stuff at the Star Trek convention. You have to leaven it with other activities. I mean, that's the important thing. Is to remember that there's a life outside of the Star Trek convention, and so if you can enjoy some of those things, it's always good. So
did we have Korean barbecue, right, or something?
Yeah,
is that what we had the first night?
Yeah, I think we did. In fact, although I think, yeah, that's right. So after the whole thing was over, we met you guys because you didn't come over until after the first night was over, right? So. So we met John Rhys Davies. I got to meet one of my favorite podcasters, John Champion, in the hallway. He spent about 10 minutes talking to me. Not the first, not the last one we're going to meet. Went to Vic's bar and watched a little bit of their opening, happy hour, and then we met our friends Rob and Darlene for some Kang's Kitchen Korean barbecue.
Yeah, it was good
the Rio.
too.
It was delightful. Yeah. I will say, we spent a lot of the weekend eating too much food, and that was no exception. They just, you cook it at your own table, and they're like, "You sure you want a little bit more?" And we're like, "No, we're not sure, but we haven't tried that one yet, so we better do it." So,
yeah, that was fun. And then we went to the Comedy Cellar, and this was fun, Butch, because I had never sat in the very, 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 very front at the feet of a comic before. Had you ever done that?
I had been near the front row of a comedy show before, close enough where I was in the splash zone, as I'll call it. Where you're within range of the comedian, and they'll turn their gaze upon you and say, "I got some material that works for a guy who looks like that."
Yeah.
And so, but never that close. We were literally close enough that if we'd have wanted to, if my wife had been really offended, she could have just reached out and smacked the crap out of that one comic. But she did not. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
It was great. It was funny too, because the one comic compared you to a white supremacist or something, made some comment like that, which couldn't be further from the truth, and it was very funny.
Oh,
and
but I looked apart, brother. I mean, I got the pale skin, bald head.
No, you check a couple boxes there, and then the headliner made a joke about perhaps having met your wife previously, and that was kind of funny. We dodged because we were at the feet of the guy. We dodged the Eye of Mordor was going over our heads out to the crowd, so we got lucky. But that was very fun. There was 4 comics.
Yeah,
4
comics, and the host was pretty fun too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. Spoiler: Darlene and I on the last night went to the Laugh Factory, and we again sat right at the feet of the comics, and we did not avoid the Eye of Mordor. So that was fun too. But yeah, that was a great time that first night, just settling into Vegas. Then, Butch, as you know, because I told you, I started tripping about my tickets because I didn't have any emails or anything. So I was like, did I buy tickets? Did I think about buying tickets and not pull the trigger? Did I give the wrong email address? I was tripping balls. So the next morning when you saw us, I was a little bleary-eyed because I had tossed and turned all night worrying that I might have booked a trip to Vegas without getting Star Trek tickets.
Well, I will say this. The one thing I will say is that staff was very helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. All the Boy Scout motto rolled up into one, and they just, based on your last name, they were able to find your name, give you your card, even though you could not show them the QR code. Turns out you didn't need it. So you get there, and immediately you're in there, and and suddenly you are in the room where it happened for your first Star Trek convention experience. What was it like when you first walked in?
I thought my head was going to explode. At first I was very nervous, and there was this lady barking at everybody, not that line, and I was like, excuse me, you're getting the wrong line, and I was like, I don't know if I have my tickets, but she was just like that. She wasn't being unfriendly. She just was running the hallway. It took like 2 minutes to get my credentials, as it were, and I went back and thanked her because she was helpful, but she was intimidating, I'll say that. and then my head was spinning because I was just awash with relief that I had gotten in because I was worried. And then 2, I was like, oh, everybody is dressed up. I mean, everybody. And so there's Spocks and Kirks and aliens and everything. And it was kind of crazy. And immediately, you're like, oh, that's Scott Nance from Enterprise Incidents. And so tell us about that, Butch. Because that was probably, I bet we hadn't been there 3 minutes yet.
Yeah, we were literally in the hallway, and I see walking in the hall Scott Nance. Now, he is a Star Trek podcast host. He created a Star Trek podcast where he did a walkthrough of every TOS episode and every animated episode, by the way, called Enterprise Incidents, with his co-host. Awesome. And it's very good. Rob and I both listened to it. We both enjoyed it a lot. And he's walking the hallway. By the way, he's working this thing. He's hosting and emceeing events. He's a moderator for several panels, but he he stops in the hallway when we say hi, talked to us for 10 or 15 minutes about his favorite episodes, about what it was like doing the podcast, about what it was like having Ralph Sinensky, one of the directors of the original series episodes, appear several times on his podcast to get to talk to him. All that stuff. Very generous with his time. Just two fans in the hall want to talk, and he stopped and spent a lot of time, even though, again, like I said, he's working it.
Well, and I'm going to say it's closer to 10 than 15 minutes, but
we'll say 10.5 equals a half an hour.
He could not have been more gracious. It didn't feel like someone even who was being gracious. It felt like we ran into a buddy from high school. Isn't that crazy.
Tremendous? Yeah. So we should point out he is a bit of a known quantity. I believe he's an entertainment. He's an entertainment reporter for one of the Los Angeles TV stations too, and stuff like that. So I've seen him interview for Project Hail Mary and stuff. Do interviews for Project Hail Mary and other things like that too. So very cool, high wattage, and again, very very friendly. I think he made some veiled offer of let me know if I can ever be any help with your podcast, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever take him up on that or succeed, but it was nice
I think
to hear.
I laughed when he said that, but that was a very nice.
It was
thing
nice to hear it at the time and stuff like that. So we really enjoyed that. And then so then on we go to kind of go around the room. There's a lot. We were mostly there. I think it's safe to say that the reason we made it imperative to go this year is because the last three of the iconic main cast of the original series Star Trek are still with us, and all three were scheduled to be there. But alas, Walter Koenig was canceled a couple weeks before because of health reasons. Luckily, I at least got a selfie with him at Fan Expo in Portland in February, but we were hoping to get our picture together with him. So that means, okay, at the very least, we got to see George Takei and William Shatner. And we had to wait another day because now it's Thursday and Takei's going to be Friday and Shatner's going to be Sunday. So we're like, anything could go wrong. Please just don't go wrong. So we're walking around, but there's a lot of other TOS people that there were to meet there. Who else did we meet while we were there?
Well, the first thing we did was we went by, I believe this is the first thing we did. Well, among the first.
Yeah.
There was a table where they were selling Saurian brandy.
Yes.
And so we went there, and the guy at the booth was like, yeah, if you buy one, you can come back tomorrow, and Rod Roddenberry will be here. He'll sign a certificate of, authenticity, whatever. Also, he's like, hey, I have some of these. What are they, Butch? They're VHS something.
They are not VHS. They are a tape system of which I've never owned the right thing. There's like some sort of a like TV level. This is the tapes they sent to the TV stations to play the episodes. And they're just like, since you're here, we'll just give each of you one of these. So Karen got one, I got one, and you got one. I think Karen got.
Yeah, I got Voyager. You got DS9, right?
Yeah, I got DS9 and Karen got Enterprise. And so they're very cool. They're each like the entire episode, that was sent to TV stations, and they were just giving them away. Thanks for stopping by our booth. And then, of course, a couple days later, we would actually go. The next day, we were scheduled to go at 3:00 to meet Rod Roddenberry, have him sign it, and get it. And then at some point, these will arrive by mail to our house. These bottles of Saurian brandy, with or without brandy, I don't know. It does not matter. The brandy would be nice. We're never going to touch it because you want to leave it mint in bottle.
No, it's those cool bottles. We've got to do many brandy jokes.
Our favorite line. Yeah. That's right. So because of that was a big thing. But there were also some of the stars from the original series, including all the children, which we'll get to as we go on.
Yeah, the first person I met, I wandered off from you and Karen were meeting somebody.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm just going to look around. And I saw Barbara Luna. That would be Kirk's, let's say, extroverted girlfriend in the Mirror Universe, Barbara Luna. What was her name again?
Marlena Moreau, who her name was.
Marlena Moreau.
Yes.
And so I was like, ooh. So I got a picture and an autograph with her, and she we got to get the picture taken. She put my arms around her.
Yes.
Like I'm standing behind her, and she put my arms around her, and I was like, my daughter goes, it looks like you're blushing in that picture. I was like, I am. I was closer than Kirk was, but she was very nice. I probably talked to her for 15 minutes. She was talking about, some of the other stuff she'd done and whatnot. And that was very nice. And then I think you got your picture with her the next day, right?
I did, yeah. I have a picture of Karen. I got a picture taken with her too, and we talked to her for a good 10 minutes or something like that. We had to go because she was like, "I got this one other story I got to tell you." I was like, well, "If we don't get over there, we're not going to get Rod Roddenberry's X of approval." And it was he signed his name as an X on those. On those certificates. Yeah, I mean that's a signature. It's a signature, right? Exactly.
That was fun because I said, "Hey, would you mind if I said to you, give me the brandy?" And he's like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Would you mind if I said to you, give me the brandy?" And he goes, "No, go ahead." And so I got to say, "Give me the brandy."
He didn't know what he was signing up for. Yeah.
No, I think that would have been a lot to just spring on him. I wanted to, give him a warning. A fire shot across his bow before I launched the missiles there. But, who else did we meet that first day or the Thursday?
One of my favorite ones that we met the whole time was I saw him the first day. It said I didn't bring my book, but I was hoping you could sign my book, my copy of your book, The Galactic Whirlpool. We met David Gerald, the author of The Trouble with Tribbles, the author of a Star Trek novel we've done called The Galactic Whirlpool, which was our favorite of all the Bantam books.
The mind behind the story for the Cloudminders.
Yes, he did a lot with that. He worked on the first season of Next Generation, and he's still publishing books. I bought a book he published last year about a tsunami that destroys the coast of the Pacific Northwest, ripped from my job description, as it were. We're at that stuff all the time for work. So that was delightful. And he was great too. I mean, these guys, again, I cannot reiterate enough, spent a lot of time with you, especially the non-huge stars. If they don't have a line of 100 people behind them, they will talk your ear off. And that was great. Yeah. So we got to do that, and that was fun. And so I think, where are we at? So, yeah, so
we went and saw some talk that had the new Uhura and some other dude in it.
Yeah, the Celia Gooding, Celia Rose Gooding, who plays Uhura in Strange New Worlds, and Chris Myers, who played Gamble, who was a semi-regular on season 3, but was then killed off and then resurrected by villains and made a monster and killed off again. So he had quite an arc on season 3 of Strange New Worlds.
Can we call Celia New Uhura then?
New Uhura, yeah, and I think she's beginning to feel more and more the part too on the show. She looks more the part than she did when she started, and stuff like that. So I like how they're bringing her closer in look and stuff like that to the horror that we grew up with, right? So
yeah, I'm worried that Scotty's never going to get there, but we'll see.
That's fair. Yeah.
But did we meet anybody else that first day?
I should point out that, we did. You don't know him, but we got a picture taken with one of my favorite actors from DS9, who was one of the secondary cast members, Jeffrey Combs, who was, you knew from the movie Reanimator, of course. He was a star of that movie. But we knew him from being both the Vorta Wayun and Brunt, who was a Ferengi from DS9. And he would go on and play Shran and Andorian, the main Andorian from Enterprise. He was on all 4 seasons of Enterprise.
Okay.
So that's cool. And he was great and good fun. And Karen and I got a picture taken with the second Dax, with Terry Farrell. That was our first picture we got in there. She played Dax for the first 6 seasons, but then left the series. And because it's a symbiote, they replaced her with a new host for her symbiote, played by Nicole DeBoer, who played Esri Dax. And she was lovely. And of course, we gushed over her because we also watched her on 5 seasons of The Dead Zone, which is based on the Stephen King book.
Oh yeah, she was pretty. I remember that.
Yeah, but so then after that, we got to talk about this one. Then we went to see the And the Children Shall Lead panel.
Was that the first day?
Stage. That was the first day, Thursday. Yeah. They had 4 of the 5 child actors were there. They were only missing I'm trying to remember his name. The kid who played the Tsing Tao was the last name. Stevie, not Stevie, but one of the others. I can't remember because he wasn't there. That's why we weren't reminded. But so we got to see the other 4 which were Pamela Ferdin,
It
Caesar
was
Belli,
here. Let me tell you what it
Mark
was.
Robert Brown, and Craig Huxley. So yeah, go ahead.
With that four, it's like meeting Kiss, right? You got Paul and Gene, two guys.
Yeah.
In the children's show lead, you got Craig Huxley, the redheaded Federennial,
Yep.
and you got the girl that played Lucy on the Peanuts cartoons, Pam something.
Yep.
And then the other two dudes.
Yeah.
The son of the lawyer who was awful as the Gorgon, and the other kid who is still bragging about how great he is. What was that guy's name? The other kid was Caesar, but I forget what the other guy's.
It was Caesar, or the other one was Mark Robert Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Robert Brown. Okay, so I don't know about you. I didn't give a shit about Caesar or Mark Robert Brown, but it was really funny listening to Pam and Craig, because Craig's wearing that awful shirt, the puke green striped, god awful, and Pam looks like she's still 25 facially. She's got a very young, youthful look.
Yes.
What is she, 6 or something? She talks like, sounds, not childlike, but she's got a high voice and whatever, and it's very animated. So that was really funny because they're telling their little stories. Then they do this thing where the Gorgon comes out, and they kind of do the fist thing, and the Gorgon's like, "Hey, drink Bud Light. See you later. Don't forget to tip your waiter." and then this real Gorgon was in the back, and we had seen that person. Remember, coming in, and they looked awesome. That guy came up to talk on like the crowd asking questions thing, and he's like, "Death to you all." It was really funny.
That was a great way to end it. It's like, "Death to you all. Are you ready to conquer the universe with me?" And they're like, "Yeah." We're like, "Death to you all." Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. It was really funny, and I think they were impressed. That was a great costume that dude had.
Yeah, he was also attended by a woman playing the part of Tommy as well. Had the hair and the sweater and all that stuff. So that's fun. Then there was a panel with called "The Only Love Money Can Buy: The Trouble with Tribbles and the Trials and Tribulations," where they had the aforementioned writer David Gerald there, the guy who was the director and the writer of the DS9 episode. Ronald D. Moore was there, and Scott Mance was officiating that panel, so that was fun. And they talked all about that episode, and also at that was one Charlie Brill, who was did not impress us when he was in the original series TV episode. But he was fun on this. He was playing oldest curmudgeon Jewish guy you've ever seen. I mentioned Jewish because he mentioned Jewish every time he opened his mouth. He's like, "I'm an old Jew." Yeah. And so he was so fun on this. It turns out that his big story was not that. His big moment in The Sun was when he appeared on the same, why am I drawing a blank at the TV show that the Beatles?
Deep Space Nine?
No, yeah, the one.
Oh God!
When the Beatles made their TV debut, he came on right before the Beatles, and he said they couldn't hear each other. His wife and him, who were performing, couldn't hear each other because they were already screaming for the Beatles at that point. Yes.
Yeah, that was real funny, and that guy was hilarious. You were
Ed Sullivan, by the way, if you're playing at home, Ed Sullivan's show. That's right.
Yeah, I blanked on it too, but you were basically, when you did an impression of him, you were doing Martin Short.
Give me a C, a bouncy C, a well.
Yeah, that's how the guy was talking. It was great. That guy was funny. That guy was terrible in the episode. I do want to say that he was great. We did see later. Maybe the worst actress to appear in the totality of Star Trek, but we'll get to that. That's a spoiler.
We will get to that. So after that, then we got our picture. We saw a Deep Space Nine panel. I don't know if you were there for that or not. And then it was we got the Takei picture earlier in that day that we later then picked up, and we got to see Takei talk. It was great to hear him talk, but you can tell he is really struggling. By the end of the day.
Now we're on Friday, right? Now you're blending it into Friday. Now we're to Friday.
I believe, yeah. Well, I believe so. Yeah, because we're in Friday now. That's right. And so we after that we had dim sum for lunch, of course, which means beef tripe and all the shrimp things you can have.
That was good, though. That was good.
Yes, exactly. And then We see a DS9 panel that was fun. Then Takei was talking. Like I said, I thought it was great seeing Takei. He is having a tough time. There were several times that somebody talked to him about something. He started dying a story and he just couldn't remember the details. He remembers the stories, but not the details, and that's okay.
No, he tried to give me a pardon when I met him, but he did say, he was looking a little blank there, but he did say "live long and prosper," which was nice to me.
Absolutely.
That was great, but he did have that kind of like, Admiral Stockdale, "Who am I? Why am I here?" look on his face, but very nice.
Yes.
And it's a great picture with the three of us and him.
Absolutely.
I had met Scotty previously. I met James Doohan in 1990.
We did too, yeah.
I met him was that the end of '89 or start of '90?
It would have. I met him in '91 with Karen because we didn't start dating until '91. So you might have seen him in '90, but we saw him in '91. So
yeah, I saw him at that thing that was for the release of Star Trek V on video cassette. So he came to a video store in Federal Way. And I got to talk to him for like 20 minutes because almost nobody was there. It was a thing for video store owners. Nimoy was in, New York, and Shatner's in LA or whatever it was. And James Doohan up for the Seattle area. So I had met Scotty. I was wanting to meet Chekhov.
Yep.
It was cool to have met Stula.
Absolutely. So then the rest of the day was kind of walking around, and then we decided to break out while we were doing something, getting a picture taken or something. You guys went down, and we ended up meeting up with you at the Kiss Museum in the Rio Hotel.
Oh.
And then we went and played some pinball and played some skee ball, and we had dinner at a wine cellar. I believe my dinner was a Negroni and part of a charcuterie board, and yours was an old fashioned part of a charcuterie board. And after the night before, where we had gone to Carmine's at the Caesars Forum shops,
don't just blow off Carmine's.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we definitely need it because Carmine's was one of the great meals I've ever had, but it was way too much food. And they tell you, look, whatever you think you're ordering, you're getting too much. But we wanted to try two things, so we got two things, and then Darlene says meatballs. I was like, yeah. Mistake. The meatballs were great, but it was too much.
I think they gave you tennis balls.
Yes, they were tennis ball size, and then 6 of them, and then we said we're done, and Rob's like strawberry shortcake, and they said okay, and they come out. That's like 10 inches tall, so we're gonna eat all that. And then they basically rolled me into my taxi to get back to the hotel. God bless you for rolling me into the taxi for that, because otherwise I would never have made it.
Oh, that was really fun going to Carmine's.
But after that, we really needed that small meal the next night. So I literally have a picture of me holding up a little tiny piece of mortadella. We had like a couple nibbles of cheese, a couple crackers, a couple pieces of sauce salami, and that was it. And a Negroni, and that was exactly what the doctor ordered after that. So, yeah.
I don't know why I'm echoing there.
You sound good to me for what it's worth. So yeah. So then you guys went home. Karen and I went back and changed our clothes and went back a little later and watched on the big screen down there at the Kiss end of the casino. They showed the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. There were about 1,000 people there around the bar. I got myself a Borg themed green drink called the Cube, and we watched an hour and a half of DS9 before we went back to the hotel.
That's pretty awesome. Darlene and I enjoyed playing blacklight miniature golf.
Yes,
at the Kiss play.
Absolutely. I saw that was kind of fun there. It would have been more fun to spend, but again, that's kind of one of those things where you could probably spend a lot more time there, but we were so busy. We just kind of had to float in and out. So now it's Saturday, 2 more days left of the convention. We get there early and meet the Horta. Somebody was dressed up as a Horta. That was a really convincing costume too. And we would be interacting with them all day long, it turns out. Karen and I went to a panel that had Ronald Moore talking about Battlestar Galactica at the Star Trek convention. So that was fun, a little palate cleanser for the rest of the day. The next one we went to, also not Star Trek, it was Battle of the Network Stars, featuring 2 people who'd never been on a Star Trek episode, Lou Ferrigno and Aaron Gray from who was Wilma Deering on Buck Rogers in the 25th Century.
I told you, Lou Ferrigno's on Star Trek Continues, and he's awesome as Orion. And I love yeah, but I was doing a Keep Your Marriage Alive with Arlene.
Yes, that's exactly right. So that's fun. And then let's see. We back to the room. There were these two guys who were hanging out in the hall, and every time we passed them, they were dressed as somebody else. They were Kirk and Spock fighting from Amok Time. The next time we go see them, they are Mario and Luigi for some reason from Super Mario Brothers. They're doing all the strange things. It was fun. And the next thing we went to was a Star Trek II panel that featured some clips. The Wrath of Khan.
I should have gone to that.
And it had our favorite director of that. Why am I drawing a blank?
Nicholas Meyer.
Nicholas Meyer did that. That's the one guy I wish I'd have stopped at his table, but I never found his table. It was Nicholas Meyer. Would have loved to give 10 minutes of that guy's time for sure. So.
Oh yeah, I bet you can't get near that table.
Well, you would think so, but then anyway, so then you guys are off doing something, and you haven't gotten there yet. So Karen and I had Smash Burger for the first time up near the end. Again, as soon as we found that Kiss end of the Rio Hotel, we were there quite a bit. Never where the wine bar was, and the movie, the Masquerade bar where they were showing the Star Trek episodes. Never did go to Empire Strips Back, which was also that end, but it's fine. And then they had the 60th anniversary one. That's the one you and I were there for, where they had almost all the people that were associated with the original series that were there. They did not have Tanya Lamani, who I met on Sunday there, but they had
Butch.
Yeah.
The first day I met Denise Crosby, remember that?
Oh yeah, we got our picture taken with Denise Crosby. We did. I
knew I was forgetting somebody.
Yes, Denise Crosby. We got our picture taken with. That was great. I like it. We got two pictures. So I was in both of them. I did one with you, and then I did one with Karen. So I got to be on her left and then on her right. That was fun for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this panel we got to see the aforementioned Barbara Luna, but also Nancy Kovac, who played Nona from A Private Little War, and Rob's favorite.
She's not looking so good.
Louise Sorel, who played Raina Kapek on Requiem for Methuselah.
Yeah. You might remember her from a dead-eyed, blank, I don't know what the hell I'm doing performance in the so that's her.
Yep. And all the kids from And the Children Shall Lead, and David Gerald was there too, and they brought Charlie Brill back out, and then they offered them all cake. And only one of them, only Charlie Brill took him up on the cake. Everybody else didn't. Alas, we did not get a piece of the cake. They brought it out for the audience, but they brought it to the wrong side. You know who else was on that panel is Sandy Gimple, who another person we never got to her booth to say hi to. Sandy Gimple played the Salt Monster. She was nice enough to pose with you. I got a picture of her threatening you from the stage. Never got stopped by there, but I did some research on her. She was.
I forgot that she did the threat thing towards me.
Yeah. Do you know why she was in the costume in the original series instead of something? Because she was a stunt woman on the original series. Not only
she could do the physical acting.
Not only that, but she apparently was a stunt double for the kid who was on Lost in Space at the same time Star Trek was on. So yeah, and so she was. I saw a picture of her doing black belt karate stuff and things like that. Yep. And the irony of it all is that she was the pretty face that was hidden under all that makeup, and she's kind of prettier now than she's as pretty as any of the other ones are. She was then too. It's just they hid her under that hideous salt monster makeup. And she also played a Telosian, who everybody thought was a man, but was actually her. So that's
the one thing I've always thought was funny where they kind of did the gender bending. You can't tell with the voices and the women in the. I knew the women had played the Telosians, but that is always. I didn't realize she was one until we saw that panel. But that was cool. I was bummed that Nona looks like she's struggling because back in the day.
Yes.
But
pretty amazing. So then two important things happened. I got to meet and got my picture selfie with Chase Masterson, who's delightful. She was from DS9, and then Rob immediately is going over to get his lesson on the blaster beam with Tommy Starnes himself.
Yeah,
Craig
who
Huxley.
I am allegedly impressed. He might have just been saying this, but I said, hey, you're in 2 episodes when you were a kid. In each, both of your parents die. What gives? And he said, "Wow, I've been doing it's been 60 years that I've been living with those parts, and I never thought about that." So that was kind of fun. But playing the blaster beam was cool.
Yes.
And he was nice, and we got a picture with him, and I got his autograph and whatnot. That was great. So, and I got a diploma from the Blaster Beam Academy or whatever the hell it is.
Yes. Indeed.
I thought it would be a master's degree. It's only a bachelor's, so that's a bummer. But that was fun because he's still wearing that ugly sweater and everything. And we got to meet Ethan Peck and is it
Christina Chong? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the other pictures we took at their photo opportunity. So that was nice. And they were both very lovely. Ethan Peck was especially very charismatic and outgoing.
Yes,
made a big impression on us. So much so that
I was over the joyed, Butch, that my wife was not with me for the Ethan Peck thing because I think I would have lost her.
And I like how I got to mind meld with the Horta, and you mind melded with your wallet. Both of us experiencing pain and emptiness. That was fun. And so
you gotta send me that.
Oh yeah, I haven't sent you that. That's right. And so that's Saturday, and then Karen and I literally went back to the hotel and slept and read for a while because we were so tired. Taking us all the way to the last day of the convention, Sunday. We knew that was going to be a big day, and we got there early so we could do a couple other things. But we made sure we were in line early enough so that we would get a decent spot for Shatner, and the lines formed about an hour and 15 minutes before he started. His time was on, and we got in line near the front because that's good because that line stretched the length of the convention, and then some.
Yeah, it was massive.
The most massive line of the whole week. So we could spend some good amount of time in line. We were the people like, yes, this is the line for Shatner, go that way. Yes, this is the line for Shatner, go that way. That was fun. Should have had that.
We each got to talk to Shatner. I will tell the world here what he said to me. I said, "When's your album coming out?" He said, "Soon." And then after the click of the shutter, he said, "Thanks for coming." So thank you very much. Very nice, but obviously they're trying to breeze everybody through. What did he say to you, Butch?
I think that thanks for coming was for both of us. Yeah. So
whatever, I'm taking it.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So I believe, and they said, listen, it's so fast and he's so busy. Don't expect interaction, but we got 2 interactions, so that was good. So then now all we have to do is go wait for the picture to be developed. I went to see some Roddenberry Archives thing where they're digitizing every set, every prop, everything that they can for posterity so that someday they can rebuild them. Rob sat on the edge of oblivion of buying an $800 tricorder or a $400 tricorder or a $200 tricorder.
Admit it. That $800 one was badass.
$800 one. That's the whole thing. I think if that $800 one had not existed, I think you walk out of there with a $200 one. But you really wanted the $800 one. And if you can't have that, you don't want one. I think that's that. It was like when Shatner overcomes the spores. In this side of paradise, it took that for you to overcome the call.
Well, the guy was like, here's the $200 one. It's a toy. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Here's the $400 one. Look, you open this up, there's a phaser in it. I was like, ooh. Yeah. Then he's like, and we have this $800 one. It's got removable discs. If you put them in, it shows Edith Keeler and other scenes.
Yes.
And I was just like, I was hyperventilating, on the verge of blacking out. It was extremely cool.
Yes, it was very, very, very cool. Amazing. Yeah. So let's see. And then in a quick succession, we go back to the vendor room. We're still in the vendor room to look at that. Karen and I got our picture taken with Sirach Lofton from DS9. And then Rob's like, Ethan Peck's over there. His line's not very long. And we were so gobsmacked by him the day before that we decided to go in halvesies and do the autograph and a photograph with him. So we got a selfie with him again, which allows you a little bit more interaction. We got to interact with him more for this, of course. So, it was nice to talk to him.
I don't know that we went halvesies since we both got charged.
I think we both paid it. The plan was for you to pay for the signature and get to keep that. We would buy the selfie and we would share it with you. So we'd all, and they took about 7 selfies. Of course, they go so quickly for the same photo.
The day before, Karen hadn't been feeling good. So you let me, sit in on the picture with Christina and Ethan.
Yes.
And in that picture, I look like the Hindenburg landing because we've been eating like pigs every day. I was as big as a house. I obviously did not think about, I'm kind of coming in diagonally. It looks like I'm 16 times bigger than she is because she's gorgeous and thin. So it was nice to, and it was nice to, even though we didn't get to talk to, they were about to go on break, so I just snuck in under. That was the last person.
Just under the gun, yeah.
But we, Ethan Peck told us that Leonard Nimoy is his Spock too. That was kind of fun, very gracious, and we got our picture. So that was
the
terrific.
thing about it. He's right about to go on break. He's been on the floor talking to hundreds of people and stuff like that. It's still. That's the sign of somebody who's a real star is when then he's talking to you and it feels like there's no one else there but you and him. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, he's great.
Yeah. And then somewhere in the middle of that, I'm getting my picture taken with, or I never got a selfie with her, but I bought an autographed photo and instead of a selfie, I bought her a commemorative pin for Tanya Lamani, who was the belly dancer in Wolf in the Fold. And she had a pretty amazing story. She was telling us, she showed us her photo album, almost the entire thing while there's a line going behind us to see her, of all the stars she's worked with, Bob Hope and Gregory Peck and Rod Taylor and all these other guys, and how her parents had escaped Stalin in Ukraine to Iran. Ripped from today's headlines, Ukraine and Iran from the 40s and 50s. Also still in the news today. She was terrific. Yeah. Then we decided that was the end of our Star Trek thing, but we still had to go get dinner. It's Sunday night. So
you're forgetting something, Butch. We got to see Shatner give a 1 hour off the cuff, tremendous talk to a packed auditorium. He was amazing. Just really awesome.
He was a tour de force, really. I mean, he had complete command of a room full of thousands of people. It was pretty amazing. And stuff. So that was great. And, he's answering people's questions. And again, his star power has so much wattage. Somebody's asking him a question from like 50 to 100 feet away. And he's making them feel like they're right up right next to him. It's like asking them questions. It's like, what do you do? What brings you here? Kind of all that stuff. So guy really knows how to like, charm the pants off of people, as it were. And then the convention was over, but we still had time for one last trip to the Forum Shops for dinner. Found a great place for some sushi, or as Rob calls it, the filet with asparagus and mashed potatoes.
Yeah, it was Roku. It was great.
Sushi Roku, and it was terrific. It was some of the best sushi I'd ever had. Just exactly what we needed, something light and predictable portion sizes, and stuff like that. And then we walked around for a while.
Not brutal price-wise, like some of the, it can get out of hand in a hurry at a sushi place. It wasn't. It was reasonable.
Absolutely. And then Karen and I came back from there, went to the Rio, and they were just starting about 5 minutes after we got there, the Rat Pack performance, which is four of the bit actors plus one main character from DS9 doing Trek parodies of kind of big standard songs, the Sinatra type songs or whatever. That was very much what it was styled after. Jeffrey Combs did his impression of Rocket Man by William Shatner. That was fun, and stuff like that. And then that was. Did
they do a version of That's Amore by Dean Martin?
Yes, they did. And I'm trying to remember. What they did the rhyme of, but I'll have to look it up because I do remember. Hold on, maybe I can even bring it up now.
When your wrinkled up nose is a permanent pose, that's Bajoran.
Bajoran?
Yes, they're DS9 actors, so there you go.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
But they did it is what the important thing is. Yes, so. So you ask and they deliver. Whether you wanted to hear what they had or not is another thing, but it's fine. So yeah, that basically ended it. The next morning, you get up way too freaking early, get on a plane and fly back. We did get to fly back first class, Karen and I did, because we got up.
Very nice.
So that was nice. That's where everybody knows your name is in first class. Yes, you can have seconds and thirds on cranberry juice if you want.
You got to tell me how you get upgraded. I don't know.
We have the Alaska the Alaska mileage program, and so Karen is a silver level. So at some point, we do not know how, but at some point, it's like, well, if they have extra seats in first class that are not full, they will bump you up so that they can put somebody from standby in your seat. Right? That's how they go full flight. Is how it is. There's a lot more people flying standby than you think there are in the world. That's why the flights are almost always full.
Yeah. We had the equivalent of first class on Allegiant. There's not a first class on the little flight home, but we were in the first row with all the leg room. So that was good. We had, we flew out in the evening, so we had just an unbelievable lunch at our favorite place in the Venetian, Milos.
Yeah, the great place, right?
Lamb chops and all that was great. So we had a nice day and one last cigar before we flew back. So it just was a perfect trip. No arguing. No problems. Yeah. Just awesome.
I told my wife that the fans and the staff and the stars at the Star Trek convention renewed my faith in humanity. Everybody was so nice and were so generous, and that Scott Mance, the first thing you do when you get there, we spend 10 minutes talking with us just like we're important people or something instead of just randos that waved him down in the hall, was just amazing. And everybody's friendly, everybody's creative, everybody's got all their costumes, and they're happy to talk to them.
Everybody's happy to be there. Yeah. Everybody's, like Shatner said, we're a family. The show and the fans is a family. Yes. It feels that way.
It really did. And I was not prepared for it to be. I thought it's going to feel a little forced and stuff. It just didn't feel forced.
It didn't feel like corporate bullshit. It didn't feel like you were getting fleeced all the time. I mean, you were kind of, but it was great. Everybody was just, it didn't matter who you're standing next to. Could be a star of a show. Could be some dude from, Kansas or something. Yeah. Everybody's having conversations, striking it up. You got, beautiful Andreas and Kalindas and stuff walking by. I didn't see a Kalinda, but
I didn't see a Kalinda. I saw several Shaunas and two Andreas, and
yeah. I mean, and you got aliens and Spocks and Kirks, and it was just tremendous.
Yeah, really fun. Absolutely, and everybody had a good time, and and it's like I was perfectly content with we're going to do it right, and that's it. We don't ever need to do it again. I would not be averse to doing it again. I don't know if it's going to be an every year thing, but I can see myself going again to one of those things.
Absolutely, it was great.
It was a good time had by all, and for somebody who's been on our bucket list for so long, when somebody's on your bucket list for years and years and decades, it's easy for it to go, it wasn't what I was hoping it'd be. This, I think, was more than satisfying, more than scratching the itch for me. So.
I thought it was great, and we didn't even scratch the surface of all the stuff there was to do, or people to meet, or talks to listen to. So you could probably go every year for 10 years before you'd cover, a lot of it. But it was just awesome. Even Darlene, who, did not go to it, just sitting, losing money at the slot machines at the Rio, she got to see the parade of humanity, and she was like, whoa, I didn't realize what I was signing up for. She had fun. Even just, being a very, secondhand participant. So, and just a really lovely time. It was great to see you and Karen.
Absolutely.
There's always stuff to do in Vegas. So it was great meals, comedy. Darlene and I, would have a cigar or two every day at the cigar bar. It was just awesome. Yep. Really fun trip.
Absolutely. So, chalk this up to met and exceeded expectations. Happy we did it. No regrets. Thanks for the memories, as they say. And so that's our report from Star Trek Las Vegas, 60 August 5th through 9th. That was literally what Rob said as he's being taken out of the Shatner picture, which I thought was great. I don't know if anybody else got it, but we got it. And if there's one thing Rob and I could say, as you know, careful listener, there's a lot of jokes that only Rob and I get, but that's fine.
Those are our favorites. And the other thing we always say is, give me the brandy.
Give me the brandy. And so to end this podcast, the summary, we will let Rob say what he always says at the end of our Star Trek podcasts.
Well, first I'm going to say we're going to do the whole original series, Butch and I.
Yes.
And the second thing I always say is live long and podcast, my friends.